So, now we are going to talk about how we are going to use data mining in the context of business analysis. So, we will continue our discussion further. Now, if you look at this, it has a pyramid, right. So, at the lowest level of the pyramid you have databases, okay, that is related to administration, that how we are going to administer the databases. Then you have data warehouses, basically the architecture of the data, how the data has been kept in the warehouse. Okay. Then you go for exploration, statistics, query reporting, which is basically done by the managers. Okay. Then you go for data mining, and that is basically the task of business managers. And at the top level you have business intelligence, which actually helps you take certain business decisions, and that is done by the top management. So, now it creates a hierarchy where data architecture and data mining and database administration activities is taken at the junior level, and then middle level managers basically they are engaged in exploration statistics, then they try to answer certain queries based on the data, and then you move for it further. So, you have data mining and business intelligence, which is basically analyzing the data and then identifying trends and patterns, and finally using these trends and patterns takes place at the topmost level, that is where you are going to take certain decisions. So, that is how it comes up. Now, look at some of the factors which are responsible for data mining. Competition, I have already talked about it. Okay. So, since you are going to work in a very knowledge intensive economy, okay, and then you have to identify your customers preferences, their trends in terms of their taste, behavior, attitude, and these kind of things, and at the same time you also need to respond to the market requirements, and how are going to face the challenges that is imposed by the competitors. Okay. So, competition because of this globalization has changed the way the business are being done. So, what you need to do is that you need to identify that how are going to face the challenges of the competition, so that you can better respond to the customers, you offer better quality products and services, and you can also respond to the challenge of the competitors in a more effective manner, right. And that is where data mining is going to help you. Data mining is going to help you to identify the trends and patterns, which could be useful for managers to take certain business decisions, right. Similarly, information glut. What is information glut? If you are having too much information, that then you are not able to make use of it, right. So, the idea is that you start using those data that is already stored in your databases. Okay. So, you do not create a situation where you are struck with certain things and you are not able to take certain decisions based on the data, right. Since you have huge databases, it is not going to help you to take decisions unless you go and extract the data using certain techniques, and that is why it is very important to do not allow the data to be kept idle. Okay. You try to make use of it as much as possible using certain analysis techniques, it could be statistical techniques or even judgmental techniques, to make use of the data to see that what kind of trends and patterns are coming out, and then using that trends and patterns to make certain decisions, right. So, whatever data has come up, okay, you have to see that how we are going to make it useful, so that people who are going to work in a very competitive environment may find it useful, right. Okay. So, it is very important to not only acquire the knowledge that is coming out of the databases through that data mining, but also make use of that knowledge efficiently to improve the processes, systems, structure, so that you are going to be more competitive. So, these are the business drivers for data mining, right. So, there are certain business motives, we have already talked about it, what are the commercial benefits of this, right. So, what kind of knowledge workers are there that we are going to have today, because our the today's workplace have changed a lot, and then you have to see that the requirements, the day they are going to work, okay, because they are living in IT information age, right, where information explosion is there, where they are having a lot of communication. So, their requirement may be different, right. For example, if you look at knowledge analysts, right, they require sophisticated tools and techniques to analyze the data, right. So, that they can identify the trends. What knowledge users require? what is coming out of that data, how they can make use of this in order to perform their job effectively, and whether this knowledge is easily accessible to them. So, the job of the business analyst is to identify the trends and patterns, communicate it down the line to the top management, and then allow them to or help them to take certain decisions, okay, and then implement those decisions down the line, so that people or the knowledge workers can make use of those decisions. And then you also have a better user interface, so that they have easy access to this information, okay, because knowledge workers are basically the consumers of the knowledge, right. So, you have to make sure that the knowledge is available to them, okay. So, that is where you are going to create a KM system, okay, with a better user interface, right. Then moving to the next part, as you have talked about the business drivers, next part is related to technical drivers, right. What is that objective of data mining, right. So, basically the idea is to optimize the available data use, right. What is that? That you have to see that what is the best use of this data, right. And you also need to ensure that you are not going to take certain wrong decisions based on this data, because if you take a wrong decision which is not going to be in the interest of the business. So, you need to ensure that when it is concerned with the technology, you have those sophisticated tools, softwares and techniques which is going to help you to take better decisions, okay, through which organizations can make better decisions, and at the same time it helps them to improve their growth, development, these kind of things. But suppose if you are using the data and if you are not able to optimize it, then you are increasing the risk of making certain decisions which may not be correct for the organization, which may not be appropriate for the organizations, right. So, that is where we are using certain statistical techniques and also machine learning, and that is basically the analytical foundations on which the data mining works, right. Though we are not going to technically discuss about this, but I would like to give you a brief overview of these two major techniques that is used in data mining, that is statistics and machine learning, right. What is the role of statistics? See, most of us have studied some kind of statistics in our earlier days, our schools, like identifying the average, the mean, standard deviation, looking into the correlation, and when you move up in the hierarchy, you also talk about regression techniques and these kind of things, right. So, what is the use of these statistical tools and techniques and in data mining? Similarly, nowadays you also have lot of softwares, statistical softwares, which help you to analyze the data, right. The basic idea is that once you have databases, these statistical tools help you to organize the data in a better way, okay. This statistical tools help you to go for some kind of classification, what you call descriptive analysis, and also there are statistical tools and techniques which are more inferential in nature, where you are going to go for hypothesis testing, right. So, that you can use these statistical tools and techniques, and even today we have softwares which are available with us, which helps you to take these analysis at a very faster level and then use them for decision making processes, right. So, the idea is that when you are going to use certain softwares for data mining, it helps you to discovery, identify new things based on either inductive reasoning or deductive reasoning, depending upon whether you are going for hypothesis testing or you want to go for some kind of exploration. Another important area is machine learning, right. That is basically related to artificial intelligence, okay. That is where you are going to feed the data into the system, okay, program them in such a way, so that it is going to automatically analyze the data and then come out with certain decisions, okay. So, artificial intelligence is nothing else, but you are going to make intelligent machines, and then machine itself is going to learn how to analyze and come out with the decisions, right. So, basically it is a business process where you are going to use this these kind of high end computing techniques, that is known as artificial intelligence, to understand what kind of knowledge has been derived from the databases and how they are going to help us in taking certain decisions. So, basically if you look at artificial intelligence, it is the highest level of decision support system. See, we start with MIS, that is management information system. Then we move to the next part of the decision support system, that is DSSS. Then the third level we have expert system, right, and at the fourth level we have artificial intelligence. It means that artificial intelligence is the highest level of decision making process, right, where most of the job is automated by the machine and they come out with the decision, and then you have to see whether these decisions are feasible, viable, and whether you can go for them or not, right. So, both whether you are going to use statistics or whether you are going to use artificial intelligence, both help you to identify trends, patterns and values of the data, and then how are you to take certain decisions based on this. Then coming to data warehouses, right. So, if you want to extract and transform operational data, day to day data that is available with you, or you want to analyze them, okay, then this is what we know as data warehouses. Basically, it is more subject oriented. For example, what are the different products, okay, that you have, or it could be integrated also, like different operating systems you have. For example, you have marketing system, you have production system, then you can integrate different kind of data and see that how you are going to identify different traits and variables. Then time variants. Time variant means that you are collecting data from different periods which is available. For example, you have production data, sales data across periods, different periods, okay. And then this data is non-volatile in the sense that there is no redundancy between operational data houses and data warehouses, right. Because if there is a redundancy, it means that you must make use of it on a regular basis, right. Redundancy means that it is not useful, it is not required, but this day to day data that you are collecting in the data warehouses is very important, because based on that you can identify certain things out of it which could be useful for the decision makers. Then moving to another technique that is used in data warehousing is online analytical processing, right. For example, you go for user interfaces, you use computers to analyze data based on at your convenience to see what is happening, right. And then you can suppose you have Excel sheet, you can see that how the things are moving. You can use graphs also, right. So, you can see that what is happening out of the data, right, and that gives you a generalist view. Okay, suppose for example, you have day to data of the production records, right. So, if you can show it on the spreadsheet, you can also make a graph, right, and then analyze that how the production is working. And suppose you have a target, and you can see that what needs to be done in order to achieve the production targets, right. So, these kind of things are basically related to data warehousing, but it is different from data mining. The data mining, what you do, basically you try to identify trends and patterns based using certain either statistical techniques, okay. Either it could be predictive or say descriptive, or you are going to use artificial intelligence, right. The strength of data warehouse is visualization, where you are using certain interactive tools. You can see that you can basically understand the data, right. So, for example, the production data can give you the trend that okay, how the production is moving, then whether you will be able to meet the target production records for a particular month or not. For example, you have sales data, you can look at the sales record data and see what is happening, okay. You can go for a visual or graphical representation to see how it is working, okay. And you can also have, you can add tag certain attributes like region wise what is the sales position, sales people wise what is the position, product wise what is the sales position, okay. So, that gives you a graphical or visual representation, and then you can understand the data, that is what is happening to either sales or the production, right. But it does not find any pattern, only you can understand the data, right. Though it is a good tool, analytical tool, but it only helps you to provide you a description so that you can understand what is happening, right, and that is where data warehousing is important. See, these are the different kind of things: online transactions, point of sales, ATMs, all the data is coming to this, and then you go for analysis. So, you can go for three kind of things: either you report the data as it is, or you go for data mining to identify trends and patterns, or you can go for analytical processing to understand what is happening to the system, right. And then it could be communicated to the knowledge workers, so that they are better equipped to take certain decisions, right, relate to their work. So, data warehouses and data mining technologies, the framework is different. One is more predictive and one is only for understanding and reporting the data, right. See how the decision making architecture works. Okay. Suppose look at this figure and then you can understand it. Okay. Suppose there is a manager, he has a query from the data warehouse. Okay. Suppose he wants to know what are the sales figures across regions, across products, across people, right. So, this can be presented into different way. It could be presented in a graphic manner, it could be presented statistically, it could be also presented using online analytical processing to understand, say this is what we have is and this is how much is left out, and or you can simply report it, right. So, you can integrate these decision processes into a business process, okay, and then you can find it is basically, and then you are giving this information to the manager. Okay. These are the things that we have at hand, and then you can have a look and understand what is happening. Okay. So, the output that has been derived from the databases are is like this. It could be in the graphical form, a statistical form. You can show a graph or chart, or simply in terms of percentage in descriptive terms, or you can see how well we are progressing, or simply reporting it. Okay. So, you know that most of the companies are using spreadsheets, data and graphs to represent or to understand their operational day to day issues, okay, so that they can understand what is happening and what they need to do further, right. So, these you can use these kind of databases and data warehouses for business operations, so that you can see what needs to be done further. Okay. So, these are the basically approaches that is used by corporate decision makers. Moving further, when you are talking about data mining, then it is something different, right. Look at this, these are the historical data, in the data warehouse, these are the analytical techniques. Okay. Either you are going to use certain metrics or rules, association rules, or data mining techniques. Okay. These are the, and then you put into the decision engine, that is the analysis, and then using certain statistical tools or machine learning, and then this is the decision that is coming out. Now, these recommendations had certain applications. It could be for ERP improvement, or it could be for e-business, or it could be say customer relationship management. Now, this again the feedback again has to come here, right. So, the data has to be feedback to the system either in real time, or the data that you is getting from the external sources again need to be done it, and then this is cycle that goes on. So, data mining, when we are talking about in the context of decision making, to identify trends and patterns which are going to be helpful to take certain decisions. Then we have virtuous cycle. So, it is a basically a virtuous cycle which goes on a regular basis. So, you regularly mine the data, identify, extract that say patterns and trends, and see what is happening to the data. That is very important, right. So, the capabilities of a data mining cycle is that you are able to identify patterns, okay. You can see what are the right decisions that need to be taken, okay, and you can also learn from your past experiences, what you did in the past, how did you make use of it, okay, and then you can also turn action into business values, right. Look at this, how it happens. Okay. So, there is a data mining project, okay. Decision action is taken, then the knowledge is assimilated, it is evaluated if the decision is correct or not, then it is reported, so that you have better understanding of the business. This again fed back to the system, you go for it and continue with the same process. So, it is a virtuous cycle of data mining, where on a regular basis you mine the data, take actions, evaluate your actions, then see what extent it has been able to help you to understand the business and take certain decisions, and then again that information is fed back to the system, and then it continues. So, it is a kind of virtuous cycle which continues, right. So, it is very important to ensure that data mining is going to help you to understand the business, right. The first step is identify the business opportunity, right, and what are the problems that you are facing, and in what way data mining is going to help you, right. And then the next is the identify areas where that data can provide you value, right. I have given you certain examples. So, that helps you to understand that how data mining can help you in certain areas. Like for example, if you are going to mine the data related to the admissions process, it can help you a lot to take certain decisions, right. And once the problem is defined, then you are going to see that what kind of technicalities or expert decisions are involved to take certain decisions, right. Then you are going to develop certain applications, data mining applications. What are the tasks that is to be done, whether it is classification, prediction or associations, right. Then you are going to organize the data depending upon the requirement. Then you are using certain statistical tools or machine learning tasks to build certain models for predictions, okay. And then you are going to validate, collect the data, feed the data into the system and see whether that model is going to be validated or not. And if the model is validated, then your hypothesis is correct, you can say yes, this is related to this, okay. And that is how you are going to make use of that in decision making. So, if you remember, we talked about three kind of data mining tasks, that is clustering, classification and association. Okay. In clustering, what happens? You try to find out groups which are very close to each other, but they are different from others, right. So, you have to identify the nature and characteristics of the clusters, okay, and that these natures traits and characteristics of the clusters can be tagged with that particular cluster, right. Then another important thing is classification. You can classify data into different categories, okay, and then each category will have a different trait or characteristics. Okay. This could be based on association or sequence, right, where you are going to try and identify relationship between different groups. Okay. For example, you find, okay, from in JEE admissions, okay, from one particular states more students are qualifying with better ranks. Okay. So, this kind of association rule can be found. Okay. Or you can also find certain sequence, if this is done with this one, this will happen, right. So, you can go for some kind of sequential analysis, what will happen after one after another. Suppose you take a decision, look at the impact of the decision, right, then how it is going to help you in the business decisions, then go back to again and then you take another decision. So, this is what we know as sequential decisions. Based on the feedback of the first decision, you go for another kind of decision, right. So, this kind of relationship can be identified, okay, based on classification. Okay. Now, I am trying to give you some examples related to different areas of business where it could be applied. For example, in customer services, how can apply in customer services, right. What could be the different kind of goals related to data mining? Okay. You can go for customer centering selling, online shopping. You can identify the prediction related to the staff, what would your target market, how you are going to retain customers using certain profiling techniques, okay, how you are going to use call centers for routing your inquiries. Okay. So, these kind of data mining goals can be achieved in customer services, means that you can identify what are the preferences, attitudes and behavior of the customers, so that you can better satisfy them. With this goal, you are going to use the database of the customers, mine them, and then any of these goals can be identified based on that, right, and then you take certain decisions related to that. In let us take another example in financial services industry, right, that how can retain customer loyalty, because that is one of the important issue. Okay. So, you are going to apply certain decision making techniques, data mining techniques, certain statistical tools to find out and see what kind of risk management is there for different kind of credit cards, or how can you detect fraud. So, you are going to develop certain applications based on that, which will help you to identify customer loyalty, right. Then moving to the third part, in healthcare also you can do it, right. You know that technology and medical advancement is happening in a big way. Okay. So, how you can contain cost, medical costs, right, because the market is changing and they are going to work in a competitive environment, right. So, it is not only the financial orientation where you try to be cost effective, but you also see that how you can better satisfy your say customers, right. So, you can use certain predictive models to identify how long patients are staying for different kind of problems, right, how much they are paying, okay, what is the mortality rate, and this, and based on that you can take certain decisions that how you can provide better health care, okay, with the constraints of the cost and the technological change that is happening, because you know the medical cost is improving like increasing like anything, then how it is possible for you to go about it. Then even telecommunication you can also identify. See, telecommunication is an area where lot of technological changes are happening, and because of the deregulation the landscape has changed, right. You know, if you look at the telecommunication market today, BSNL, which used to have monopoly, does not have it today. You have players which are effectively competing with the BSNL. The BSNL market has gone down, right. So, you have to face lot of competition from a wide range of service providers. So, the ultimate objective or challenge is that how are we going to retain customers, find and retain customers. So, data mining can help you to identify your customers profiling. Okay. You can find out what are the fraud and credit application that is used by the industry. Okay. You are also concerned about the privacy and security of the people. Okay. So, these are the areas which are of concern to telecommunication industry, and that data mining activities can really help you through analysis to take certain decisions related to these areas, so that you are able to find new customers and at the same time retain customer in order to remain competitive, right. So, we have talked about different kind of application, different areas. Then moving to the next part, that is data management. Now, data repository, whether it is archive or warehouse or whatever it is, okay, that how are we going to manage the data. Data management is very important, okay, and it could be in different forms, like it could be flat databases, relational databases, you could have had data in data warehouses, data which bases which are spread across geographical boundaries. Okay. You also have data from year wise data from different periods, say, then the data that is coming are accumulated through World Wide Web. So, you have lot of sources of data. Now, the important challenge is that how are we going to manage this data, right. And then data is also found in different kind of form. It would be the business, based on business transactions, scientific data, medical data, your personal employee data, text and document data, web repository. So, you have different kind of data. Okay. So, how when you have different sources and different kind of data, it is very important that how are we going to manage them. In order to prepare good quality data, it is very important to see that what is the quality of the data, okay, whether there is any missing data, what are the outliers in the data which does not conform to the norms, okay. Then how are we going to normalize the data, and what is the process of quantifying data, because not necessarily that all the data that you have is quantitative in nature. There could be a lot of qualitative data, right, like contents, blocks, okay, and all kind of things. So, it is very important that you quantify them, because if you are not going to quantify data, say for example, data related to customer satisfaction. Okay. So, if you are used a rating scale, then it could be quantified then, right. So, it is very important that you are going to prepare data, make sure that good quality data is there is no missing data, otherwise you will not be able to use it. There are no outliers. If outliers are there, then the decision rule says that you exclude them from the analysis, right. Then similarly, you see that the data follow the normalization patterns, okay. It falls under normal distribution curves, right. If it is not normally distributed, it means that this data is not good, and any decision based on this data may not be correct, right. And then another important thing is that you need to quantify the data, whatever data is there, so that you can use certain quantitative techniques to analyze. Once the data is ready, the next stage you are going to build certain models, okay. You are using certain rules, we have already talked about it. So, I am not going to discuss it here. Certain association rules, like how one variable is related to another variable, then you can use classification trees, we have already discussed, and neural networks. So, these are the three modeling techniques we have already discussed in the previous lecture in learning from the data, that how we can use these things to take certain decisions and model the data, right. Then you are going for parameter setting, that is you have to identify what are the different parameters, okay, for use and comparisons. Then you need to explain these parameters very clearly, based on which you are going to evaluate the data, okay, and ultimately find out the value from the data, right. And then ultimately you go for testing and validating samples. For example, you need to calculate reliability, validity of the data. It is very important, because if reliability and valid data is not valid, it is not providing consistent result. In that case, what will happen? You will not be able to make use of it, and it will not be correct also. Then ultimately you go for model testing and analyzing the data, right. Based on your business objectives, look at your data mining project, make sure that it is able to meet those business objectives. It is, if it is meeting, it means yes, your data mining project is successful, okay. And then you identify what are the factors which have not been able to consider or have been overlooked, Okay. And then once the data mining results have come out, you need to understand that, right. So, the business analysts who are responsible for data mining activities, they must understand and interpret these results to the decision makers, right, so that it makes sense to them, otherwise there is no use of it, right. So, model testing analysis of result is very important, and ultimately then you go for taking actions and deployment, that how you are going to take actions based on that, and what kind of actions you are going to take on the basis of the results. Okay. So, once you identify the knowledge, then you make sure that who are going to make use of this knowledge in workers at different levels, right. And then when they are going to apply this knowledge, you also use certain parameters to evaluate their performance, that whether you have been benefited by implementing DM data mining results in the organization or not, right. So, taking actions and deployment is equally important for data mining activities. So, data mining has different kind of applications, it could be related to markets, sales, risk management, web, text mining. So, you can go for different kind of data mining, okay. And it is very, very important to see that how we are going to make use of it. For example, sales you can go for forecasting and identifying the trends. For customer relationship, you can see that whether customers are churning or not, how much profit you are going to make of it. Like finance, you can identify risks and frauds, right. In marketing, you can find out how the markets are segmented, or how you are going to see that your advertising and sales go up, right. So, the idea is to integrate data mining, customer relationship management and e-business. Okay. So, data mining is the first level, the next level you move to e-business, okay, by enhancing your customer relationship management, so that you are more responsive and proactive so far as customers are concerned, and then you are able to achieve whatever you want to have it, right, because in customer relationship it is more personalized approach, we will have one-to-one relationship, right. So, if you are going to integrate data mining and e-business with customer relationship, probably it would be more sensible thing to do, right. Look at this, which suggests this, like in, if you look at this, what happens in customer relationship, the idea is to go for customer loyalty. It could be done through analysis and personalization techniques, right. Then moving to brand awareness, you have customer centric data warehouses, okay, and this data set is increasing, and then from e-sales also you are getting data through research, reach and feedback. So, all this data is being fed into the system. Now, what you are going to do, that you are going to make use of this to see that how you are going to take it further and make use of it for taking certain decisions. Say for example, e-sales, you have e-channels, real time contact, one-to-one marketing, value added services, that is related to the reach. Feedback is visitors traffic information, purchase pattern, visitors profile, visitors preferences. So, the feedback is given to the data warehouse. Similarly, you also have data related to customer relationship management, and then you are going to integrate this both for decision making process, right. And ultimately, if there is any data mining project, okay, it is not very straightforward, because you have to do lot of activities, you have to take it as a project, right. There could be constraints, problems also, and then you have to see that whatever you have gained from the data mining project is going to be useful for the organization. Okay, thank you.